Hey, it's Professor Hedges. This is the first of the instructional-oriented videos I'm going to be recording for this course. I hope you like it. It's not going to be perfect, but I think what you'll find is that I'm going to try to seam together actual video recording of me lecturing and then also material that I might present to you electronically. So, sit back, let the YouTube video load, and enjoy.
So today we're going to talk about the rhetorical situation, which is one way that we can understand how we communicate, and it's especially helpful when understanding how to write. You may ask yourself, what's in a triangle? We're going to use the simple basic image to represent the way that we can understand communication and how it occurs. First, let's talk about what constitutes communication. And this is kind of common sense stuff. First, you've got to have a sender. Then you've got to have somebody to receive the message, or an audience. But you've also got to have something to say, something worth talking about. And you've got to have a way to say it, whether that be speaking in person, or writing it down, or posting on Facebook, or sending a message over Twitter. When we put these elements together, we get something called the rhetorical situation. So we start with that same basic blue triangle, but we can affix each of these elements to a particular part of the triangle. At one angle you have the sender, or author, or writer, whoever's initiating the communication. On another peg you have the receiver, or audience, whoever's going to be reading or hearing the message. You also have content, that's your something to say. So that content can be a variety of things, but this is basically the information that you want to convey to that audience. Then you decide on what's known as a communication medium. That's simply the means by which you're going to send the message. Examples of communication mediums might be face-to-face speaking, pre-recorded video, putting together a web page, sending a text message, writing a formal essay. The list goes on and on. Now, on top of all that, you also have this circle that's surrounding the entire rhetorical situation. That represents the context. So the outside factors that play into when the message is being sent. So what's going on in the world on a global level, and also what's going on in the immediate level of the communication. So let's take a look at how this might affect the way that we understand things. First, the rhetorical situation influences the way we think. Whenever we stop and think about how we're communicating, it's just like what your mama told you. Think before speaking. You think about who you are as a writer, what you know, what you don't know, what you believe, your attitude. You can also think about the receiver. Who's your audience? Who are you speaking to? It also influences the way we speak. Think about this for a practical matter. Say you need to borrow $10. If you're going to borrow $10 from your friend, you might just say, hey, buddy, give me $10. But if you're going to ask your grandmother for $10, then you might sound more like, Grandma, I've been a good kid to you all these days. It's just $10. I know you love me, so why don't you give me the money? Ultimately, for the purposes of this course, it influences the way we write. When you understand these elements, you're going to have a better essay. You have to have a thorough understanding of your content. You have to have a thorough understanding of yourself as a writer and what you bring to the table. You especially need to understand who you're writing to, or your audience. And you also need to understand the context in which you're writing. So it's more than just writing something for the professor. I want you to identify who your audience would be. Say for a narrative essay, you might want to write your paper geared toward teenagers, and it's going to teach a moral lesson. And the context is that perhaps you were involved in something that you shouldn't have been whenever you were that age, and you know that other people are, so you're going to write the message in a way that is going to make sense to them. So that's the basics of the rhetorical situation. I hope you understand how to communicate a little bit better after this, and I think you'll see as we go through the rest of the semester that this foundational theory really influences about everything that we do.